Hey everybody, welcome back to Almost Famous Magazine. I'm super excited today because it's been about a year since we sat down and talked to Matt Ellacott of the White Lakes. He's in a band out of Birmingham in the UK, and I'm super stoked to get an update for you and to learn what's been up in the last year. So how you been, Matt?
I've been great, actually. Thank you very much, and cheers for having us back. We had great fun last time, obviously, with our wild tangents and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot's changed in the year. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. So it'll be nice to dive into that with you, so we can let all your viewers and listeners let them know what's going on.
Absolutely. So let's start with, okay, in the last year, what's happened, the good, the bad, and the ugly?
So where do I start? So the band used to be obviously sort of a four-piece, and we've now moved to a three-piece. Yeah, Logan has moved back up north because he couldn't afford to live in Birmingham. So we decided to step down to a three-piece and putting our bass on our backing track, or as a separate channel coming out the backing track. I won't get into all the technical bits and bobs, and which has been really good. Since it's just been me, Gabs, and Archie, it's just been so much easier to sort of control everything with like setting up practices, recording, writing sessions, and everything. It's just been so much easier. We're all firing back nice and quick, and the dynamic between us guys is probably the closest that it's any dynamics been in any of the bands that I've ever been in my life.
That's awesome. So Archie is not a name that I recognize from when we got together last year. So tell us, how'd you find Archie? Give us some of his background and what he's bringing to the band.
Yeah, so we had a guy who was deafing in guitar a while back. So technically we've been a three-piece for a little while, but not on stage visually, do you know what I mean? So we had a guy called Tom who was deafing in for us for a little bit, and we kind of stumbled across Archie because Tom wasn't available for one of the shows that we were doing back in the day. So Archie stepped in with, I think it was like 8 hours to go, learnt the set, smashed
Wow.
it. And then when we decided that we wanted someone permanent and we didn't think Tom was the guy for it, we reached out to Archie and was like, "Do you want to potentially join us on this wild journey of sex, drugs, and rock and roll?"
And you convinced him to say yes.
Oh yeah, he dived in it. Dived in it straight away.
Well, going back to our last interview, actually, has he had to have a White Lakes drink? Did he have to
Oh
do that to get in the band?
yeah, he had to do the initiation, of course. It's a beautiful cocktail. But I don't know if I said last time, there is a nice version of the White Lakes cocktail,
Oh.
which is served at one of the bars in Birmingham, actually. Birmingham, UK, that is. Yeah. So
That's not a bad brand extension.
if anyone stumbles across a place called Auto Brew in Birmingham, UK, go in there and ask for a White Lake, and you'll be served up a really nice summery cocktail. So
Fantastic. Adding Archie to the group, has it changed any of the style or the sound of the band? What has he brought that may not have been there before, and kind of has he had an impact on the direction you guys are going sonically?
I would say so, yeah, because he's predominantly more of a sort of jazz blues kind of guitarist, and obviously he's listened to indie music, loves indie music or indie pop. Do you know what I mean? And he's always wanted to dive into a project, but there's nothing I don't think that's tickled his fancy, unlike the White Lakes. But yeah, having him join, it's been nice because there's been like some of the ways that he can help change the sort of some of the chord progressions a little bit and just make them a bit more rather than just the standard bar chords. I mean, I'm no amazing guitarist myself. When I sit down and write, I don't write the best chords, but I know how to write a catchy tune, I'd like to think. He is then able to take my extremely simplistic little bits and just change them a little bit, make them a bit more full in sound. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he adds more body to the work, I reckon.
Oh,
Which is
that's
nice.
fabulous. So
His
so
solo
even though
just unreal. Like he's probably one of the best guitarists I've played with.
so is it safe to say that the size of the band has shrank, but the sound has increased? The quality of the sound has increased, the quality of the
Yeah,
tonal sound of the music?
and he's an amazing musician. Like just playing with us all together, everything is so tight and together. And well, obviously with the bass being on track, it's the tightest bass player we've ever had. But just makes
Least
it,
expensive probably as well.
yeah, exactly. We don't lug around a massive bass amp or anything. So bass everything. It's just great. We've joking around about putting everything on backing track and just turning up to the gigs, just sending them audio. You like play that, and there's a video.
You know, I was talking to an artist here in the States in Nashville, Billy Harvey, and he brought up the ability to use AI to write these days. And I think you're one step away from that with that idea.
Oh yeah, 100%. We could even make holograms of ourselves. That'd be great. I think the hologram, but everything else.
You could be the next big hologram show after ABBA.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a hard one to follow that ABBA one. I think they're doing very well out of that. They're doing very, very well.
I hear they've made a pound or two. So let me ask you this, because I was looking on iTunes, and you guys really haven't released any music in almost a full year. What's up with that? What's going on with getting some new tunes out of you guys?
So we've had, I don't know, we probably have about I'd say like 10 songs fully produced, recorded, mastered, ready to go. But we had an issue with our distributor. So we planned to have an EP out last year. So we released Love, Drunk and Complicated, and then we have Tomorrow and Don't Call Me. So that was going to be the complete EP. Tomorrow was meant to be released 6 weeks after Complicated, and it's going to be released next Friday. So it's finally coming out after over a year of waiting for it to come out. But yeah, so the distributor had an issue with one of the guys who recorded Tomorrow and Don't Call Me was signed with his band Fickle Friends to a label in the UK, and for some reason it flagged up on their system, even though he was just the producer of it, right? So and we'd paid him the money up front, so he didn't have any sort of points on the song or anything. So it shouldn't have been an issue, but for some reason it was, and there was back and forth for about 3-4 months until they finally were like, look, okay, yeah, we've spoken to Jack, we've spoken to his management, spoken to his label, they've given the all clear, it's all good to go. And we're like, okay, cool. So we had an email come through saying it's all good to go, and they just released it straight away. So as soon as we had that email, I went to have a look on the sort of dashboard where you upload these songs and get them sorted, and you can all the stats and everything. And it just said, song out or completed. That's it. The delivery being completed. So I was fuming. And then because they didn't just release Tomorrow, they released Don't Call Me as well. So they released the whole EP without our permission.
Oh,
it turns out it's because we had the old date still there set. So they just released it as if it had been released months and months ago. And then we had a battle for another 4 or 5 months to try and get them to remove the songs. Which the first one took a week where they removed Don't Call Me. And then we just back and forth, non-stop for them to remove Tomorrow. But they finally did it. We uploaded it again, which was meant to be released at the start of this month. Start of last month, in March. And they just never released it. So I was like, you know what? I've had enough of this. So I've moved on to another distributor. We're now with Music Gateway, and they have been amazing. I uploaded the song within 2 days. They'd submitted it, delivered it to the platforms, ready to be pitched to the playlists and everything. They'd even reached out with their A&R team saying they really enjoyed it and they wanted to sort of help support and push it. So it's gone from a really horrible experience to a really delightful one. But it's now allowing us to basically release, because we've been really annoyed and that we wanted to get all this music out, this body of work that is now aged in comparison. Do you know what I mean? To what it should be. We just kind of want to get it out and get more music out, because obviously playing these shows to these fans and new people listening, obviously if they come to the show, they listen and they like what they hear, and half of the set or maybe even more isn't on Spotify, they're kind of stuck on those 2 songs, and it's like, well, do you know what I mean? What's sort of going on? So we're just planning on dropping a song a month for the rest of the year.
So we haven't heard. I mean, we haven't heard a lot of these songs except people who have been to your gigs. Let's go through some of them. Tell me some of these songs. Give us a little insight into them. Some of the writing and especially kind of the sound, like, because you guys have you've been evolving in your sound, and and you certainly, like, we had actually talked about what happens during ballads, because your drummer is he goes out into the audience. So let's talk about what kind of songs are coming up. Give some titles and some insight.
So the first one coming this Friday is called Tomorrow, and this one was a fun one. So I sent across the whole EP that I wanted to do to the producer Jack, and he came back saying, like, he said, you kind of want to have, because I think it was Don't Call Me, I'd said, right, that's always going to be sort of the final one that we drop, sort of with the rest of the EP, do you know what I mean? So it won't be as heavy push, but he felt that one of the songs that I sent him wasn't good enough to make the EP. So I was like, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down, just spend a day, and I'm just going to write another song and then just send it to him. So Tomorrow just came together really quickly. Like within a day, everything was done, like lyrics, everything. And I just sent him this song the next day. I was like, how about this? And he was like, perfect. Because I was listening to a band called Noisy at the time of writing that song. They used to be called High Tide, but they've now switched up their sound. They've become a band called Noisy. And it's like drum and bass mixed with drum and bass played by a band, really. So it's kind of cool because there's like a lot of sort of like breakbeat elements on the drums in this one, like loads of kind of like choppy samples and everything with my voice. But it's at the same time still kind of like grungy, 4-chord heavy, with a little bit of little bit of no, not Blur, maybe a bit of Blur mixed in there as well, I'd say. Yeah, and Block Party as well.
What's the next one after that?
So the next one after that is a song called Don't Call Me, which I'd say kind of in a way kind of returns a little bit to like the roots of the band. I'd say musically, but as if like, I don't know, I kind of wanted to write a song kind of similar to like the Cigarettes that I used to, that song Cigarette that we have out, and another couple, like there's a song called 17 and another one called Call Me Up that we used to play. We didn't have them released, but ended up taking them down because they weren't getting played, and yeah, bit of change here. But I wanted to go back with like my musical head now, and kind of like adapt on what I would have written back then and pay a little tribute to myself, I guess. As narcissistic as that sounds. But so yeah, we kind of wrote that, and then it just, again, naturally, with how our sound is going, just became a little bit heavier, but it's as close to original White Lakes, I think, as we're going to get, if whatever, maybe, who knows. Following that one, we've got a song called Sorry, which seems to be a bit of a sort of fan favorite at the gigs. Like people who've come and seen the shows in the past and who return, that's the one that they sort of really seem to like. And we did a few shows supporting a few bands in sort of October, November time. And at each one, there'd be like a few of the fans at the front holding up their phones, being like, "When's Sorry being released?" and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, which is it's good. And then following that one, it's not 100% confirmed which one's coming next, but I have been pushing for a song called "She's Better Than This," which is kind of this like arena rock song, which really sounds, yeah, it's one of my favorites personally. But it's convincing Gabs, I think, the drummer, convincing him that it's the right one to go for. Follow it.
Will that be like your anthem?
I'd like it to be. It's a song that I've always, like, me and Archie have both said, like, if we're sat in the car and we're just going through demos and trying to decide which one to release when and what to go for, and whether we double drop with like a big sort of single, do you know what I mean, and followed up with a little B-side of one of our like sort of maybe acoustic tracks or something that's just really synth heavy. Me and Archie just seem to bop to that one, and we're like, this would be great to finish. Do you know what I mean? Like a Sunset Slot Festival, finish on that song, everyone's bouncing, and then you wander off stage and have a beer and